Hello everyone and welcome to Stitching It Easy. My name is Ashley. Thank you guys for joining me today. I appreciate you all. This is going to be one of those, I don't know if I uploaded or not. I guess if you're seeing it, I made the decision. Okay, so yeah, because I've done these a few times before where I just get on here and I record a video and I kind of vent and watch it back a few times to myself and then I delete it. It makes me feel a whole lot better. So I don't know. I'm pretty upset at the moment. This is not going to be yarn related at all. It's all health stuff. I have several new ones. Hello to all of you. Thank you so much. So some of you may not know what's been going on. But last February, I started and I was in a drug trial for my disease. I have a very rare disease called eosinophilic gastroenteritis, which is where my white blood cells or my eosinophils basically attack myself and my body. Anything that I'm allergic to, they treat it as a virus and try to kill it, all the while attacking me. Those things being environmental based things, such as certain types of woods and things like that, and food, mostly food. I will link my story down below. I have a video on it. I've thought several times about deleting that because people whom I do not even know will watch that 30-minute video and then try to give me advice and try to tell me what's wrong with me. And I've mentioned this before. I've lived in my body my whole life, and so I know what's going on. I don't care if, no offense to, if you're a doctor or if you're a nurse. One of my very best BFF beautiful friends was a nurse. My grandmother was a nurse. But just like in every profession, there are people who don't need to be in that profession. I'll just say that. So I've had several people who, I don't know if they think they're doctors or if they did, like a WebMD search of what I was explaining and they decided that they knew what I was talking about. I don't know. I've had people tell me, some woman told me that I had neuropathy and I need to get in touch with some doctor in, I don't know, somewhere, because they really knew what they were talking about as far as neuropathy goes. And I was right in the middle of this and I got the text from my diary, which is why I'm so upset right now. So that did not help me. Yeah, anyway, yeah, but I had someone, like I said, tell me that the tingling sensations and like the issues that I have is neuropathy. I've been to the Mayo Clinic and I had a state-of-the-art test done. They only do it in 2 other places in the United States, and I had that done, and no, I do not have neuropathy, ma'am. Thank you for watching my 38-minute video and knowing what's wrong with me. Nope, you missed it. I've had people on there like, oh, well, it sounds like all she's had is an inhaler. It's like, well, you sound like you didn't listen or watch the video. I've been on an insane amount of medications, which is why I was in the drug trial. I've had people asking me if I've tried the elimination diet, which is honestly the most asinine question I feel like I've ever been asked. Because if you watch the video at all, and you get to the end of it, you know that I've been on a liquid diet and I can't eat anything. And so I, at that point, I had eliminated all foods. And so, yeah, I had been on an elimination diet, like if that's what we're calling it, I started out eliminating those 8 things or whatever, but eventually, and still now, I can't eat anything without getting sick. So yeah, it's all pretty much eliminated. But thanks for watching that 38-minute video and knowing what's wrong with me. I really appreciate that. So I've thought a lot about deleting that. And then about every time I think that I'm going to, I get someone like, I got diagnosed today or the other day and thank you for this. And I haven't. But it just kind of goes to show you that people who don't know a dang thing about you sure seem to think that they do. So, myself and my husband, I will link that video below to how excited I was to find this drug trial. This drug is the only one that goes directly for your eosinophils. It's an infusion. That's why I was talking about my treatments. I was supposed to go once a month for the rest of my life. Every other medication that I've tried, every other medication that's out there is a Band-Aid. It's like, I have a headache, here's Tylenol. It's like, no, but why am I having a headache? That's what I want to know. I don't want something just to mask the issue. Let's get to the core of the issue. Let's fix that. So this is the one thing that I had that was doing that. And it was working. I was finally having an appetite. I wasn't exhausted. Food sounded good, and I was able to keep some things down. Yes, I still got sick, but it wasn't as bad. And then one day I went in for my infusion, and they just flat out told me that they weren't going to do it. That I was out of the study, that it wasn't working. I was gaining weight. I was finally gaining weight. And they told me that I had lost 10 pounds since I had my scope. And then came back the next month, and that was not true. But they wouldn't listen to me. It's just been a mess from the get-go. And now every single night, I made a short about this, and I almost uploaded it about sometimes it's okay to be a petty Betty. Not always, but sometimes. Every night, just like a second ago, every night at 8 o'clock, I get a text and an email. It's like, hey, don't forget to do your diary. Because whenever I was in the drug trial, every night I had a questionnaire. And they're still sending me those emails, even though I have tried numerous times to get back into the study because it was the only thing that was helping. I contacted the people that were like the staff that were over my site. I've contacted the main lady several times. I contacted the guy above her, which is the doctor that's doing the study. Those are like the main people in charge, and they won't text me back, won't email me, won't anything. So I started every night because I've asked her several times, like, I don't think you understand how desperate I am. I don't think you get how bad it is. I lay in my bed all day long. I can't do anything. It's not like this is what I want to be doing. I can't eat. If I do eat, I get sick, so therefore I don't because I'm afraid to. I will go 5 or 6 days without eating a thing, and my husband will make me eat because, I have to have food. I'm aware of this, but I get sick every time. And so I'm telling her this, like, please, I'm desperate. I don't think you understand, please. And I've sent her probably 4 or 5 of those, and I've tried to call her and she won't answer, and I've tried to text her and she won't answer. So every night, whenever I get those emails and those texts, I've been forwarding them to her email, and I've started forwarding the text to her cell phone number because what's she gonna do? Ignore me or kick me out of the study, So that's what I've been doing. And just a little bit ago, about 30 minutes ago, I looked, and on iPhones you can tell if your message has been read, like you're left on read and that whole thing. She's been reading every single one of my texts. Every time that I am like desperately pleading and begging with her to please help me, that I'm scared. I'm afraid I'm not going to be here for my kids. I don't think you understand how dire my situation is. Please help me. I'm willing to go wherever. Please help me, because the medication is not FDA approved. It won't come out until at the earliest March of 2023. That's a year from now. I'm honestly afraid I don't have that long. I'm just gonna say it. So the fact that she is reading them and not replying is enough to make my stomach turn even more than it already does. I have kept so much stuff in that they did to me, that they have done to me, that they have put me through. I've been so vague this whole time. And I don't think I'm going to be anymore. I'm the type of person that if you mess with the people in my bubble, if you mess with my husband, my kids, my mom, my family, you and I are going to have issues. You can mess with me for years and I'll just keep putting up with it and keep letting you back in and whatever. I try real hard to live by the, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I try to live by that, but I don't. With them, with my family, absolutely I do. Someone's, crappy to them one time, cut off. I don't want anything to do with you. It's very much the Cardi B song, like, see you, I don't speak, that means I don't mess with you. It's very much that. I have no time for anyone who's hurt anyone that I know. But I have no problem for some reason letting people just walk all over me. I don't know why. But, it kind of broke earlier. I've been kind of hanging by a thread for a long time now. I feel like it snapped a few times, but I think earlier it finally just, perhaps it snapped before, but today it fell through the floor. Maybe that's what it was. When I saw that she had been reading my messages, just like pleading with her, she told my husband and I several times, my husband called her personally, told him several times that she would do anything that she needed to do to help me, that she hated to see me this sick, that I am the sickest patient that they have, and the last thing they want is for me not to be well. And right after actually right before they kicked me out of the study, she was trying to tell me that I couldn't contact her anymore. And it's like, if I don't contact you, who am I going to talk to? Like I said, it's the doctor, her, some other lady, and then the study team. And if the study team is hosing me the whole entire time, yeah. I suppose it's like a, can I speak to your manager moment, but I didn't have to ask because I already had her cell phone number and I already have her email because she's who I went through to even get into the study. So of course that's who I'm going to call. And she told me that she would get in trouble if she talked to me. I don't care if you get in trouble. Least of my concerns. I'm sick. Y'all booted me. I don't care. So I thought, why not? This would be my tell-all because I'm done. I'm done playing nice just like that. After I saw where she's been reading my messages, I'd sent another one to her text message, just like, please. I don't think you understand how desperate we all are. I don't think you're comprehending it. How many times a day I vomit. How many times a day I hurt and I cry because I hurt. How many times a day my husband helps me to get up out of the bed. I'm not that old. And for her to read it even, not even just, if she would have blocked me, I probably would have felt better about it. But she read it and didn't reply. And then after that, I got another one. Hey, don't forget to do your diary. And so, I think I'm just going to go in. So, let's start from the first. So, I was diagnosed with eosinophilic gastroenteritis. Tried all kinds of medications. I have been sick for a very long time. I've been asked if I've been to holistic doctors and things like that. Yes, I have. And at one point, I've been to the Mayo Clinic. I went and stayed with my brother for over a week and went to a holistic doctor there. I have tried if I told you how many doctors, you would think I'm nuts. But I go to these doctors and they tell me they can help me, and then the next time I go back and they tell me they have no idea and they can't help me. And so they just drop me. And that's what I tell everyone. It's like, I got broken up with by my doctor again. If I told, you would seriously think I'm nuts if I told you how many doctors I've seen. So I'm not going to, but enough that at some point I would hope someone would listen. And so we knew what was going on. We knew that nothing was getting better, that I was just getting worse. There is a website called cured.org that's for my disease. There's also one that's called afed.org or apfed.org. And I got on, or my husband, I called him one day and was just like, I don't know what to do. Got broken up with by another doctor. He was like my main go-to guy. Before he was even a doctor, I was his patient. He studied underneath my doctor at the time, and he tried to help me before he even was a doctor. And then dropped me. And that was kind of that. And I think it was kind of more of his office staff. But I don't really care who it was, especially at this point. So I was calling my husband after that, and I just lost it. Was bawling like, there's another brick wall. I don't know what to do. I have nowhere to go. I don't know what to do. So he got on the cured.org website, and they were having a drug trial. And so he's like, call this number. I was like, oh my goodness, thank you. Okay, awesome. Prayers answered. And they were. And so I called the number, and the actual doctor, the one that's above the lady that I'm texting currently, the actual doctor picked up the phone and answered and immediately sent my information to the lady that I've been texting that keeps leaving me on red and not texting me back. She sent me then 3 places relatively close. One is like 4 hours from my house, one is about 8 hours from my house, and one was about 12 hours from my house. I knew that I did not want to go to the one closest to my house because they had 0 people at that point. There was no one in the study. They had no patients, nothing. It was a guinea pig drug. I would have been their very first guinea pig patient. No, thank you. So that's whenever we went to Louisiana, and I chose the one that was a ways away from me because they had the highest ratings. I looked up all of those things, as you do. If you can Google, you probably look at how many reviews and good or bad they have. So I went down there. At first, it was like a dream come true. All they wanted to do was help me, and oh my goodness, you're so sick, we're so sorry, can we please, what can we do? This is a miracle drug. Within 15 minutes, you're going to feel so much better. It's going to be amazing, blah, blah, blah. Hook, line, and sinker. Went for it. Slowly, over the next few months, things are, as I go down there once a month, slowly things are really wrong. And I can just kind of tell that things are off. They're not, like at first, after I would have an infusion, they would call me several times after, like, are you okay? How are things? How did your treatment go? Are you feeling any better? Blah, blah, blah. After a few months, they stopped contacting me completely. I would leave there and come all the way home and call and tell them how I would just sleep for a week. Couldn't do anything for like a week, and they were just like, yeah, okay. So eventually things just kind of got worse and worse down there, and I called the main lady, the one that keeps leaving me on red, and just kind of talked to her about it. She asked me a few different questions. I told her, because I told the people in Louisiana that every time they would do my treatment, about 35 to 40 minutes in, I would start to get a headache. I used to have migraines really bad, so I don't want anything to do with a headache. So I would start to get a headache, and about 5 minutes after that, everything in the room was like insanely bright. I remember still, there was a Good Housekeeping magazine that they had underneath. You could watch, they had TV where you could watch Netflix because you're in there for 5 hours at a time. And they had a Good Housekeeping magazine that was white with orange letters, and that was all I could see were the orange letters on that magazine. And at one point I was like, I told her, the lady, we had 2 ladies that would come in. One was a nurse, one's I don't know what. But I would tell them, like, you know, I would have to text them and tell them, because they wouldn't come in. They would hook me up and come and check on me and tell me they were going to lunch. And then whenever I was done, they would come and check on me. It was like never, you know, any time in between. And so when they would come and check on me at lunch, or, you know, the first time I text, and she was just in the other room, and I text, I was like, you know, my head's starting to hurt. Everything's getting really bright. No response. So she comes in at noon. It's just like 2 hours after that, after my head had been hurting. And she came in the room and told me that, you know, well, that's really weird. No one's ever said that they had that before. You know, that it's probably something with you. That's weird. I was like, oh, okay. You know, so I'm thinking maybe it's something with me. Well, then the next 2 times it happened. So I'm telling them, like, you know, every time, like clockwork, this happens. And my head starts to hurt and everything gets really bright and y'all are nowhere around. And I'm in here by myself because of the pandemic. They wouldn't let Derek come back with me, which I later found out was completely against their rules. And he should have been back with me the entire time. I was not supposed to be in that room by myself. But they left me in there for 5 hours by myself. Like I said, they'd peek their head in the door, look around, like, everything okay? Cool. And shut the door. And I'd be like, no, my head's hurting, huh? Well, that's really weird. No one else gets that. Door shut. Go on to lunch. And then it'd be time to unhook me and they would come back in there. So I call the lady because I keep telling them and no one's listening. And so I tell her every time, 35 to 45 minutes in, or 40 minutes in, I get a headache. About 5 minutes after that, everything gets really bright. And she's like, well, you know, when they come and change your dose, you know, do you tell them that? And I'm like, honey, they don't change my dose. She's like, yeah. She's like, every 15 minutes they come in there and they change your dose. No, they don't. They hook me up. They peek their head in at lunch. They tell me my husband can't come in. They come in at when we're done and they hook me up, or unhook me and put a wrap on my arm and send me on my way back to Oklahoma. No, they don't. So then, between all this, her hearing that no, they don't care that my head hurts, turns out 80% of people that are on this drug complain of headaches and light sensitivity. But it, you know, it's not real. It's all in my head, you know. Once they hear that Derek can't go back there with me and I'm sitting in there for 5 hours by myself, she wasn't very happy. Also, they're supposed to come in every 15 minutes to change my dosage on the medication. And not one time did they. They literally could have killed me. Every single time I was in there. Like with me getting those headaches and no one doing anything about it. Whenever I finally went to the next place, which is a whole other thing. But whenever I would start getting a headache, they would stop my treatment. Like right then, stop it. Give me Tylenol. If that did not help, they were told not to start it again. So there was that one. Like I said, I didn't talk to them for a good 4 months, probably there after my treatment. No one would call, no one anything. I talked to like the head lady and told her all the issues about how, you know, Derek couldn't go back. No, they're not changing my dose. Yes, I get a headache and all these things every time. And that evening, the lady in Louisiana tried to call me 2 times. Like, I'm really going to answer my phone now, you know. And so I didn't answer it. She left me a message and was just like, hey, I was just trying to, you know, checking on you and seeing how you were doing after your last treatment. And I was just like, oof. You're gross, ma'am, you're gross. So then they tell me I have 2 options of where to go. So I choose the one closest to home because at that point they have 4 patients in it. Now, pertinent to the story. In the drug trial, you're on placebo. Well, you're in a placebo-esque state for 6 months. There you have like a 1 in 3 shot of getting drug. The 3rd% being possibly getting drug. 2/3 is you're getting placebo. So odds are good that you're not getting whatever. I show up there in their 4th month of study. So therefore, nobody has had their actual, no one's transitioned into like to roll over into the actual drug trial, into open labels, what they call it. Nobody rolled over yet. I was 1 month away. I was in it further than everybody else at that point. So I went and did that. Everything once again was just, I mean, too good to be true type situation. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how they did you down there. It sounds like they're having, you know, it sounds like it's a, like a, oh, what's it called? Like a dog kennel, but darn it, like a ring basically of just, you know, just like a puppy mill, like a drug mill type thing. Basically just, you know, bringing people in for the money and moving them on. Because at one point they told me that they had 2 different people in the study. My disease is so rare that with this study, they've had 180 cases in like the 20 years that they've studied it. Somehow, magically, 18 of those people lived right around the spot in Louisiana. I drove the furthest. Everyone else was like basically in the county. Tell me that's not sketchy. Oh, wait. The lady that was down there told me that her daughter was in the study. Someone else that lived in her daughter's household was in the study. And then they had 2 other people that they knew that were in the study. So I was sure and told them that also, the main lady, because I feel like that's pretty important. It's that rare, but then they have people like in their household that's in the study that are giving bogus results, basically, because they probably don't really have the disease. They're just down there because it's what it is. So, anywho, so I go to the new spot. It's all I hear is like, oh my gosh, it's awful. They're investigating down there now. Like, stuff's all crazy. So I guess that was my first mistake, was opening my mouth and having an opinion, perhaps. I don't know. So I go the first few times and everything's great. Everyone's, you know, whatever, no issues. I even thought about making them gnomes at one point because they knew all about Normville. Because I would take my crochet, because like I said, I sat there for 5 hours. So what else are you gonna do? I talked about this a little bit in another video. I was supposed to have a scope at the beginning of the study, and then before I went into open label, they gave me a scope to see if, you know, the placebo or if the medication or whatever was helping, to see where everything was before I started the medication. They had it planned, all that stuff. I went and was next in line, like in the gown, the whole thing, like hospital gown, and next in line to go to get my scope. And they asked if I'd had a COVID test within the last 7 days. And I was like, nobody told me I had to. And they're like, yeah, we did. And I was like, no, I didn't. And showed them where no one had told me. I was like, no, I'm with the, you know, the drug trial downstairs. And they're like, well, they should have told you. And I'm like, well, they didn't. And sure enough, they're like, oh, it was our big mistake. So then I'm there. I'd, you know, done all of those things, driven down there. Hubby took off work, stayed, you know, my kids stayed at my mom's house. We stayed in the hotel, all of these things, prepped, sick, miserable to get this scope, and then go in and I'm next. Finally, I'm like, cool, let's get it over with. And they're like, yeah, we aren't going to do that because you haven't had your COVID test and you're just going to lay there and be exposed to everybody. And I'm like, well, what do you think I am right now? Like, I was back in, you know, the waiting room. I'm not in the waiting room, like back in the, like, ready to go back room. Like I said, I was already in a gown. So I was like telling them, I've exposed everyone if you're that worried about it. Plus I've had my mask on this whole entire time, but if you're that worried about it, what? So then they tell me they're not doing it. So then the nurse, who is so concerned about COVID and me possibly having COVID, who's been around everyone else, I have been home unless I've been up there this whole time. And I kept telling that this is the only place I go. I stay home because I'm so sick. The nurse, who had been around everyone else in the hospital area that day comes and puts her arms around me to console me, because I'm like losing my mind at this point, and takes me down to the study team people, who I've mentioned before. One is an RN. I don't know. She can't even spell. Like, if you were to say we're going here, she would spell it HEAR. So she's an RN. I don't know. Okay. The other lady was just grandfathered into her job. She worked there long enough. They let her be a nurse. And she was going to be the one that was going to take my biopsies. She told me that before I went, that, yeah, she was going to be taking my biopsies. And I was just like, no, you're not. She was like, yeah. She's like, that's what I do. They let me take biopsies. And I was like, but you're not a nurse. No, you're not. You're not. No. So I think it was kind of like it all worked out that doctor and the crazy non-nurse didn't do surgery on me. Anyway, so the one nurse who's worried about me having COVID puts her arm around me, gets right here by my face, is like, it's okay, it's okay. I'm like, please stop breathing in my face, yo. Get off of me. At this point, that's all I could think was just like, get off of me. I don't want any of you around me. So they take me downstairs, and I'm like losing it at this point. Like, I can't even breathe, because after everything in Louisiana, I had been nothing but lied to the whole entire time. They, do all this stuff, keep hiding things from me, keep keeping crap from me the whole entire time. I get there to do my scope, and they're like, nope, can't do it, because we didn't tell you that you're supposed to have a test. I'm like, that's not my fault. You need to tell them that you screwed up, and I drove 4 hours to get here, and I stayed overnight, and my husband is missing. Too bad. Too bad. I don't care. And so they send me home. I'm not happy. I went back to the hotel that night and made like an 1.5 hour long video and just cried. And that's one I watched twice and deleted. I mean, I bawled and just I let y'all know everything then, every little detail of how they hosed me from the get-go in that video, but then I deleted it. So then finally, I go get my test, COVID test, and they keep trying to tell me it's not the right test. And I'm like, I called all around to get this test. This is the only place that does it. Yes, it is. And they're like, no, that's an at-home test. And I'm like, I wasn't at home. I went to the clinic. I went to, to get it, to drive through a facility. No, it's not. So then they're telling me that they're not going to accept the test. I find out, I'm kidding you not, we obviously have to leave the night before, because my scope's at 8 in the morning. I'm not leaving at 3 o'clock. I don't know about the rest of you. That seems insane. So we're going to go stay the night before. I find out at 4:30 the day before my scope that, yeah, sure enough, that test is okay. And yeah, sure enough, you were negative. And I made sure and emailed her back, well, just so you know, if I would have been positive, y'all would have been the ones under whatever, because I wasn't around anybody else except for the people up there and the nurse that was this close to my face the whole time. So no, I'm not going to have COVID, but if I would have, that's where I would have caught it. Guaranteed. So then they go ahead and do my scope. Blah, blah, blah. It comes back. Like I said, the reason I went into this whole thing for the first, I had an overproduction of eosinophils. Way too many. You should have like just a few in some places, not like myself. It's unnecessary. They did my scope. It came back and I had 0 eosinophils, which I feel like anyone who can spell the word here correctly, and anyone who is really a nurse and it's just a joke, and anyone who actually emails people back and actually cares about people like they say they do, and all of those things, would be able to use common sense. Came in, overproduction, way too many of eosinophils. For the past 7 months, we've been giving her this medication in hopes that it'll all work out. Look at that, no eosinophils. Huh. But the drug's not working, is what I'm told. I'm sorry, what? What? So she tells me that the drug's not working This is the lady that can't spell here, just in case anyone's curious. I'm not going to use names, but I will insult them all because I don't care anymore. So, Petty Betty it is to all play tonight. So she tells me that, like I said, there are no eosinophils, and that she can tell that I'm getting worse, though, because I've lost 10 pounds since I was at my scope. And I was like, no. Because every time I go in for my treatment, they weighed me. And so I'm like, well, look at what you wrote. What'd you write for last time? And she's like, well, according to them, you lost 10 pounds. I'm like, I don't care. Maybe their scale was wrong. Maybe that lady can't, maybe you can't spell. Maybe she doesn't know numbers. I don't know, y'all. At this point, it could be a whole bunch of kindergartners trying to figure it out. I don't know. I'm like, look at your records. And she won't. Like, refuses. Like, you lost 10 pounds. I'm like, no, I didn't. I gained a pound. I can see because I take note of how much I weigh and how much I weighed before and how much I weighed in Louisiana and how much I weighed here. And trust me, sweetheart, I take note of it every single time because I'm scared to death. So yeah, I know how much I weigh. Sure do. I know how many times I get sick a day. I know how much I weigh. I know what I can and can't eat. Yeah, I sure do. So she won't look at that. She won't have the doctor come in and tell me that I can't be in the study. She just decides that I can't be in the study. And so I tell her to call the main lady. I almost said the chick's name and I almost didn't care. Put her email out there. Who cares? Anyway, yeah. So I'm like, call her. Call somebody. They need to tell me, not you. And she's just like, well, no. They can't do that. We're not doing that. And I'm like, you guys have done nothing but lie to me and deceive me and wrong me since there. You don't know what you're talking about. I don't know if you don't know how to do math. It's not my problem. I did not lose weight. I have no eosinophils, therefore I'm getting better. I mean, I lost my mind. I made it. I left the office. I made it out into the hallway and almost fell to my knees. I was crying so hard because it was like I was finally getting better. And I had so many of my friends on here tell me that, like, we can tell that you're looking better. You're, not as exhausted. You're not as what I said. And in the last 3 months, I'm not kidding. This is as much as I get out of bed. I'll occasionally go and do a Walmart pickup. I usually have Derek go and do that. Yeah. Last time when we went, whenever I was supposed to have my scope and ended up not having my scope to make me just forget about it, Derek took me and we went to like 2 or 3 yarn stores and went to the guitar store for the kids and went and did like, bead store things that Miss B wanted to do. We did things that I haven't done in a long time and I would not at all be able to do right now because I'm back to being that sick again. And so just from that alone, I know I was getting better. And November was whenever they booted me. Like I said, every night since then, at 8 o'clock, I've gotten an email. And I've tried to, I realized I could block it. It's kind of the principle of the thing. I have emailed the main lady, the other people, just like the study team morons. I've emailed them before, like, what is the deal? Because I was told not to contact the one lady, that I need to email the other lady. And so the lady in the study team, and so I emailed her and she's like, well, the main people can't help you, and any questions that you have, you need to look at your packet that you signed at the first. Like, no one's willing to answer any of my questions. I was supposed to sign out because I signed my life away to get into this thing. I was supposed to sign out and be given all of my medical records from the time I was in there. I have received nothing. I still haven't signed out. I have no information of every time I went in there and they took my blood, and every time I went in there, I had 2 scopes during this time. I know nothing. And I kept trying to tell the lady that. I'm like, just send me my stuff so I have something to show my doctor. Could you do that? Ignore. So So my petty Betty comes in. So like I said, so lately I've been emailing and texting and whatever, and because I don't know what else to do at this point. They don't care. And it's disgusting. It's so, like, beyond wrong, beyond, and that's all I could think, like, during the holidays, like, whenever, Thanksgiving, it was like, those chicks are sitting there just enjoying Thanksgiving with their families right now, and I can't even eat mashed potatoes. And at Christmas, it's like, here they are, just enjoying, watching their kids open presents and watching everyone have such a wonderful time, and I can't even sit in there and watch them open presents without having to come get sick. But they're fine, so it doesn't matter, right? Because they're doing great and everything's wonderful with them. So this evening, in lieu of emailing her about the diary, I begged one more time. It was like, please, please, I don't think you understand. Please. And she read it. Here we are. This video is 40 minutes long. So, tonight, my petty Betty expands. And I'm going to email it to everyone that I know that was involved, because I don't care anymore. I've been told a few times that I need to contact the news, like the local news, like the Channel 2 Works For You. I don't know what you guys call it where you're from, but that's what it's called where we're from. Just contact the local news, tell them about it. I assure you, we have discussed talking to a lawyer about it. It's a pretty big deal. So I don't know how that would work. I can tell you my doctor has never heard of the drug company, which would have been cool to know before. Semi-sketch. The first place I went in Louisiana was right next to a crawfish pond. It was like a mini, like, crummy doctor's office. And you could look out of the window and watch the guy over there, like, gathering his crawfish traps. And so I was excited about the next place because there was an emergency room right next to it. But that wouldn't have mattered. So, you can have, a million emergency rooms right next to you, but if no one's listening to you, then it doesn't matter, So, yeah, so that's just kind of my health update. I eat, I get sick. That's all there is to it. I drink ginger ale. I can keep it down sometimes. I have like a protein drink thing that I drink. I can't really keep it down, but I try really hard. And I got told by the stupid lady who can't spell, doesn't know basic second grade grammar. She told me at one point that my protein drinks were irrelevant. Of course, they were still going to make me sick because my protein in them, I can't have wheat, and so how would I be able to have those? And I was just like, well, that shows, how glib you are, because they're rice and quinoa, and I'm not allergic to those things. And to the point now where my body's just so exhausted and so wiped out that I can't have anything. But yeah, I'm not allergic to those. Do you really think I'm that stupid that I'm gonna have a protein drink that has wheat and milk and eggs in it? Soy, sesame. Do you really think I'm that stupid? Just because you are, Doesn't mean the rest of the group is. Some of us can read. Yeah. I feel like there's so much more that I'm missing. So I don't know. So I think I'm just gonna start sending those emails to everybody, and I realized that I could block them, block the emails, block the number. But I don't feel like that's right. Because I'm honestly wondering if they still think that I'm in the study. Even though I talked to like the main lady, why would they still send me anything unless they don't know? Because, oh, I don't know. I didn't sign out. And I didn't get all of my information. So, I wonder if they think I'm still in it. And you all just keep screwing up and are trying real hard to cover your tracks and it's not working. But yeah, the whole fact that she promised that she would help and couldn't believe how I'd been treated, and then for her to just say, please stop contacting me, I can't help you. I got in trouble because you contacted me. I don't care if you get in trouble. Let me talk to your boss. I'll talk to him. I don't care. Like, you're the main lady. I don't know who's getting on to you. First off. Second off, I truly do not care if you get in trouble because someone in Louisiana, I could have, like, since they didn't come in and check every 15 minutes, let's just say worst case scenario, then how much trouble would you have been in? That would have been real good, you know? Like, duh, yeah. If they're, not even listening to me when I'm like, my headache and bright lights and blah, 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 and they're like, yeah, that's crazy. Like, that's not real. Turns out it's real. And then I go to the new place and they're telling me that they, have no time for me. Who else am I going to contact, lady? Yeah, it's gonna be you. And yeah, you should contact me back. And no, like I said, I don't care if you get in trouble, but yes, you should dang sure contact me back. I shouldn't have to contact the lady who acted like a moron when I left and just like this. Like, wasn't even for a good 4 minutes. I'm sitting there telling her, like, let me talk to the doctor, give me my medical stuff, look at your paperwork. I did not lose 10 pounds. And she sat like this for 3 minutes, staring at the corner like a 2-year-old, because, once again, that's where her grammar and her spelling are. Like a 2-year-old, just like this, just staring off into space, not talking to me. When I left the office, not a word. Why would I contact that lady with anything? And then the other lady, after she screwed my scope up, the one that's not a nurse, completely stopped talking to me, completely stopped coming in the room. At first, she would come in and write down my vitals and take all that. The lady who can't spell here would come in, hook me up to my treatment, and then would leave. Other lady who's not a real nurse then would like ask me 2 whole questions and then would leave. But at least they were sort of like across the hallway, so if I needed to, I could, which a couple times I had to text them. That's not really true. A couple times I texted them and emailed them like, this thing's beeping, I don't know what you did. So yeah. So after the scope, the one lady wouldn't even come back in the room, just left it all up to the other one, and then would send me emails from her email, but have the other lady fill them out, and then just put like white out. Just put like a white line through where her name was, and then the other girl would sign it. Just like, how mature are we, ladies? How mature are we? So, okay, so I realized there were a couple things that I forgot to mention, and seeing as how this is a Spill the Beans video, let's go all in. Or Alice in Wonderland, a hot tea moment. Let's just do it. So I didn't mention at the second place, which is the one that was closer to home, every time, from the very first time that I went in there. The first time, not so much, but it was mentioned that I should stop going. That they had someone that was from Kansas that that didn't drive as far as I did, even. That's the thing, once again, like I mentioned before, it's an insanely rare disease, but somehow magically, all the people that are in the study live right around both study sites. I drove the furthest. They all live right around that area. Suspicious. But from the get-go, I was told that there were other medications that I should try, and I was like, okay, well, what medication? And they'd be like, oh, well, like a budesonide, like you can get that. And I'm like, yeah, like in a swish and swallow, where you put it in your mouth, and you swish it, and you swallow it, and then it goes like all throughout, and then you take the pill. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, you don't think I've tried that? Like, are you kidding me? I've tried like 6 different ways of that. But every time I went, they would try to get me to quit. And every time I went, they would tell me about the guy that was in the study that they finally, I guess, talked in to stop going. I don't know what happened, but he started taking that medication and everything was so much better. And another thing, whenever my husband called and talked to like the main lady, she was like, the last thing we want is for you to quit. We put, all this into you. You've done all this, blah, 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 blah. They had no problem kicking me out, but the last thing they wanted to do was for me to change my mind, basically. But I feel like it's a bit of a HIPAA violation. I don't know. For me to know anything all about that guy, but I knew where he lived. I knew who he stayed with. I knew what he went there for and what they ended up giving him at his normal primary care doctor. Just thought I would point that one out too. That, like I said, it's an insanely, you guys can look it up. It's very rare. They're finding more cases, but it's very rare. But somehow, all of the people that have it live right around those test sites, like within the zip code. It's really pretty fantastic for them, you know what I mean? Such a convenience. So, yeah. Just wanted to point that one out there. That's one that I forgot, that they tried very hard to kick me out every single time. Would tell me, well, like I said, and I mentioned this before, that at one point the lady that couldn't spell here was like, well, are you sure coming up here is even really worth your time? So, yeah, it is. To get better for everybody, yeah, it's worth my time. So, yeah. Anyway, I forgot that. Just wanted to add it. So, right. Like I said, I guess the moral to the story, don't speak your mind. I don't know, but whatever. But since I have sent several emails to her and several texts to her, and she sent me one time that was like, I'm so sorry, I can't help, like an emoji sad face, which just infuriated me because it's like, you are not my friend. Don't try to be cute. I'm not the one. So I know I come off very sweet, and I am, do not get me wrong, but if my buttons are pushed, nope. And my buttons have been pushed. They've pushed every one of my buttons. So I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna send my diary to her, to her phone number again, and then I'm going to send the email version, because I know I got one of those, even though I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna send that to everybody I know that's involved in this bizarre little money grabbing scheme that they all have going on, that I'm hip to. And I think that's what happened. I think I pointed it out, and that was my downfall. Because, yeah. Yeah. Like I mentioned at one point, they started out with 180 patients. They have 71 now in less than a year. So I don't know if they're just kicking everyone out, which is wrong. If like they're not getting the results they want, so they're kicking everyone out, which is just probably about right, because it's an FDA approved drug and they have to have really good results. If it, sort of ish works on a few people, that doesn't look good. It has to be really good, But anyway, it was definitely working because I am definitely sicker. But I do know what the drug is called. It has a name now. And I do know what is like lacking that is in the drug. And so I don't know. Discouraged, infuriated over it. Ready to be real petty. That's where I'm at. There's been a real long time where I'm like, I bet it'll be okay though. I bet they're, whatever, and maybe they'll put me back in, and just like complete and total denial. Like, well, maybe it'll be okay. Well, maybe. No, they don't care. They don't care. I'm just another number, another guinea pig, another person that slipped through the cracks, and nope. No, I'm not. I hate to tell y'all. So, anyway. I don't know who even post this. If I do, I'm not sorry for anything. I guess I'm sorry for it not being yarny, but there's yarn in the background. If there was a point you needed to just like black out, there's, stuff to look at. But yeah. And I've had a couple friends tell me that they were in drug trials and had pretty crumb experiences. And so I guess just maybe think about it, before you take medication. I'm pretty sure they're all rigged, just so you know. I don't know. Come after me. I don't know. Whatever. So I was kind of hoping by continuously just driving them crazy and emailing them and sending them all these things and whatever, that maybe they'll eventually say something back. I don't know. Maybe I'll send them this. That might be fun. All right. So anyway, but yeah, I'll link my eosinophilic gastroenteritis story down below. I've thought, I'm telling you, a lot about deleting that one because people just are pretty sure that they know. It's like, oh, well, you have neuropathy. Like, you're a moron. Like, what are you talking about? I vomit every day. It's not neuropathy, brainwave. Good try, though. Good try. I'd like to give you an A for effort, but you obviously didn't listen to any of the video. Something like that. Well, did you try an elimination diet? You mean eliminating all food? Yes, I've tried that. No, it didn't work. So, all right. Thank you for letting me vent. For real. You guys listened to me vent and watched me try to choke down tears. I'm gonna go have a real good cry here in just a second after I be all petty and email everybody. So yeah, thanks for listening to me. I appreciate you guys so much for that because I can't. And I'm just gonna say, if you don't have anything nice to say, do like your mama taught you. Don't say anything at all. Don't be leaving no negative comments because I'm not in the mood. I don't know who would, but I wouldn't think that you would get on someone's story talking about whenever they were born and vomiting and having issues their whole entire life and think that you had an opinion on there either, but people do. So I don't know. The world's a crazy place. But anyhow. So thank you guys for listening. There's still more stuff I could tell you, but it'd make you not want to go to the doctor. Like, my doctor's trying to get me into a specialist, and I'm just like, I don't want to talk to any of you people anymore. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't want any of you touching me. Like, I've still been having to go get fluids, and every time I'm just like, if you could just not, that'd be great. I don't trust any of them. I didn't trust them before, and I'm to a point now where I'm done with doctors. So yeah. So sorry to my beautiful RN friend. You know who you are, a BFF. I don't mean anything at all by that. Except my grandma was a nurse. There are good people in every field. There are also people who I wouldn't let change my tire, who call themselves doctors. So there's that. Alright. So I'm gonna go, so I'm just gonna keep digging myself deeper into a hole and say stuff that I should not say on a public platform. So, alright. Sin. Goothraba. Am I right? Alright. I love you guys who've listened. Thank you. I hope you all have a wonderfully blessed day. Please stay safe, and I will talk to you guys soon.